It's Mike Bowen, and the Rules Embassy is open. And today is the, let's see, we're talking, it's the 16th, it's the 16th of May here in Yokohama, Japan. If you didn't get an opportunity to take a look at the Yokohama World Triathlon Championship Series race, or if you've seen it in years past, you'll notice that there were a few changes this weekend on the bicycle course, and we had some very, very wet and rainy conditions out there, and there were some changes made to the bicycle course in order to ensure athlete safety. Kind of important kind of stuff there as far as the safety thing is concerned. And all this information was passed on through the World Triathlon organizing team and the strategic management team and the local organizing committee to the athletes through a series of briefings, one a couple of days prior to the event, which was absolutely mandatory and done over a Zoom call for all the athletes. And of course, there was a great deal of communication, both for by email and Zoom briefings during the days leading up to it, and into packet pickup and on through the race day. So there's naturally this is a day at the office for a lot of these ladies and gentlemen, and so we try to leave very little bit to chance. But kind of brings out an understanding, and I've always wondered why in many cases race briefings were not mandatory attendance for athletes in participating in USA triathlon races. It was always an optional situation. So why attend briefings? Once again, as I said, World Triathlon makes it mandatory for the top shelf elite participants, and either by remote Zoom situation like we're doing right now, or once the COVID is taken care of, we'll be back to probably normal stuff. And it's definitely, you show up on time for those briefings, or you end up being penalized in the first transition after the swim for that. It used to be back in the day that if you were late for the briefing, that you would be moved from the front or your position in the start list to the absolute back end, so you had less of a, you didn't have a choice of where you would be on the start pontoon. But they realized that that wasn't necessarily as much of a real punishment as it needed to be for the crime. So it's important for these briefings because there's potential for change communication. In the case of Yokohama, it came to changing a section of the course, removing a section that was red brick roadway that was going to be very, very slippery. And as it was, if you watched the video, especially for the women's race, you saw Laura Lindemann and Cassandra Beaugrand, just to name two athletes, who went down on a section of the course. And it wasn't necessarily the wet conditions that did them in as much as it was a touch of wheels and everything like that, but they both went down very hard, and their days were over, and that was a bad day at the office for them. But also rainy conditions, sometimes with weather, rain or windy conditions can cause water quality to be changed, because you've got stuff flowing out into bays and oceans and stuff like that may affect water quality in the short term, or it gets too choppy out there and you can't get your swim safety folks out there. There have been a couple of instances where I worked with Ironman 70.3 in New Orleans, and the weather was so choppy and windy and choppy and nasty, the conditions out on Lake Pontchartrain, that they couldn't safely put boats or folks in kayaks or paddleboards out there for the swim safety. And if you can't get your swim safety taken care of, you're not putting anybody out there, quite frankly. So the event was going to initially be changed from a triathlon to a duathlon, and they've done that in years past, where they had a either had a run start, and then go to a bike and then come back around for a run. Or what will happen is that the weather conditions may shift things to the right. And this is what happened in Yokohama also, is we had a change to the familiarization, the swim and run familiarization opportunity for the athletes to get out there and take a lap of the run course and to take a lap of the bicycle course on the bike. And that got moved from the day before the race, when they traditionally do this sort of thing, to the actual morning of the race, like 2 hours before the men's start. 3 hours before the men's start and about an hour before the women's start. So, is this important for age group participants to attend briefings? And I'm going to say, as a very, very experienced official and having dealt with answering a lot of questions, both in transition before the race and dealing with the fallout from a penalty after the race, it is important to attend the race briefing, whether it be virtual or whether it be face-to-face with the race director and the head official up there. This gives you as a race participant the chance to understand how the flow will occur as far as where your entry to transition is, and how the flow through transition is going to be bike in, bike out, bike out, bike in, run out. Sorry, let's be clear there. Where these spaces are in the basic direction of the course. Sometimes they'll show a section of the course and say, okay, there are certain races that many experienced Ironman triathletes know out on the West Coast. I think it's on Camp Pendleton, and you're limited to a certain speed limit going down a fairly steep hill. And if you exceed that speed limit, and they literally have traffic radars out there to check those speeds, that you will be penalized, and I believe it's a disqualification at that one in Oceanside. So, sometimes, for many people, you're saying, well, it's not really that big a deal. I'm a back of the packer kind of person, and I'm just going to follow the person in front of me that's out there on the bike course ahead of me. And yes, sometimes that may work, but this allows you the opportunity to really get all these questions answered before the time gets really, really stressful. And as I said, during that race morning at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's dark, whatever have you, and somebody's coming up to me when I'm in my zebra stripes and asking a question that sometimes I've said, dude, did you come to the race briefing yesterday or the day before? And they're like, well, no. I said, I talked about all that there, but or the race director talked about all that there. And so then I have to go, okay, well, let me get the race director to come over here to answer that clarity, because it's may not be necessarily something that's within the realm of an official, and sometimes it is. It's also a good time to ask specifics about rules. Like, do I have to wear a shirt? Can I go shirtless on the run course? Can I wear X, Y, and Z? Or I have a situation that may require me to get permit, where I should get permission from the head referee, let's say a piece of equipment or something like that. And it's always easier to do that the night before the race or the day before the race than to do it on the morning of it. Once again, if you prepare accordingly the day before or days in advance, there's much, much less stress than having to deal with all this noise on race day. And that's all I got to say about that. And once again, I hope you're doing well and staying safe. It's a little drizzly out here in Yokosuka, and I look forward to talk with you guys soon. Hopefully I'll see you in maybe about another week to 2 weeks, all right? And if you have any questions about rules or triathlon in particular, or my life in Japan, you can reach me on Facebook.com, www.facebook.com/USAT Rules Guy, or michael.s.bowen@gmail.com. Take care of yourselves. Have a great day.
Jamendo.